that has a code. We did that in Excel, and it took us weeks. And they said, I have the code for you to read it. And I have to say, in the second round, they wanted to change it. And 2 is one that puts 0, 1, 2, 3. And in the second one, he wanted to move it up. We know how to do the statistics, the second round, etc. So that was the last part. Apart from that, apart from all the 6 scenarios and the 6 Delphi, apart from that, we also wanted to propose something. So we went to the Imperial College and we said, why don't you try and generate convergences of several orders? So what will I earn? I earn fibers, biological fibers. So why don't we think of nanofibers? Nanofibers and composites with metals for this. So nano with bio and nano and convergence. Why don't we think of cellulose, nanocellulose and nanostarch? That's order 2 convergence. So I won't reach convergence order 3. Of course, we need the Internet of Things plus all that. So nanobio info, right? And why don't we think of an order 4 convergence? Nanobio. So everything I win here, they have already thought of functional food. How do we make our next nectars and juices, etc., to have a functional property? That's much better for a child, for an older adult. And everything that you think moving forward should be green, sustainable, regenerative. Otherwise, it will be very complex to say, well, I know how to treat the skin with a material that will be more pollutant for our rivers and oceans. So our new solutions have to be greener and cleaner. So that's very important here. So we think of circularity and all that. So those are the proposals that we included in the paper that we are sharing here, that we submitted to LACCEI and we wanted to share with you. There are 3 conclusions. The first one is that what we did in the scenarios from the side of projects and programs and new surveillance studies. I mentioned at the beginning that surveillance and prospective studies behave as in the Watson and Crick. A with T, A is surveillance and T is prospective. And after prospective, we had to do surveillance because this has to do with public policies and projects and funds. Another thing is to do surveillance and the market with perspective. The first thing was very scientific and technological. We have to add the other dimensions. That was the first thing. So we're going to do more projects, a plan. Perhaps the Secretary of Agriculture will take that into account. But apart from that, we're going to land it because not everything there is necessarily feasible. The second conclusion is the possibility for the convergence, as I mentioned before, nano info cogno. It has to do in the development of the 6 agro-industrial chains. And finally, we've seen that when we do the studies in this way, they're very helpful for some micro CVs. Because when we say you're still teaching the food milling, and what do you teach? Well, the different kinds of mills, but there's also nano milling, but there's also cryogenic milling, and it applies very good for food. It's much better with the cryogenic milling. So this can look great in a micro CV, but what do you teach? I teach food drying with hot air, with band with a continuous dryer, a rotating dryer, etc. But you know that you have electrical hydrodynamic drying, infrared drying also in food. Okay, so at university level and in the engineering curricula, this is feedback for a research, for a line of a research group. That's what we say as the final conclusion. So it seems very interesting that now in Pereira, that's another coffee producing region, they've built, as I mentioned yesterday, a full-story building with 17 labs, advanced technologies, as I told you. It's a little over $5 million in cutting-edge technology for banana, coffee, and in Colombia, in our country, I'm sure this is a very small investment for the US and Europe, but for my region, it's a lot of money. It's a very valuable resource. Well, and that's connected to that type of projects. Well, we've been speaking for an hour already. So I think that's way ahead. Excellent. The second round, I'm sure you have received the second round already. It's shorter. You think it's long, but it's not. I give you priority technologies and innovations. I give you all the comments that everybody shared. You know who said what, but there they are. And I give you the possibility of moving some things up the chain. So you can use the collective intelligence, the others' opinions. So there you say, if you stay still and you make no changes, or if you do, and the comments there are very valuable for the expert. You must have noticed that there are some high quality things. You read it and you say, this comment is great. You can merge something or you can eliminate others, but most of their what is there is very valuable. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, you participate in the second round, but you cannot be part of the statistics because I have to follow up on what you said in the first round. As you're not in the first round, okay, you can see what's there, you can learn, take some justifications, but I cannot take you into account. I need your opinion in both. As I mentioned, we have the 5 rounds and then we have the expert fatigue concept. Imagine receiving this survey 5 times in different formats. And now we're doing Realta in Delphi. Very quickly, we make a round, we make the comments very quickly, and that's it. We close it there. Thank you. Sí. Sí. Sí, claro. Muy fácil. Of course. Vamos a abrir Mactor. Abriremos el software Mactor y abramos un cluster de eso. So we're going to open a cluster randomly. You have to consider that a group of people get together to answer a matrix, and depending on those numbers, we will obtain a result. So if in that context, in that region, you see that universities, perhaps they don't have research groups or institutes or experts, they're going to answer that the force of that actor, the convergence, is very small, and that the influence of the others is very small, and their mathematics has nothing to do there. When you take the sheath or when you do the impact matrix, you will see that the force is very small. There we have, for instance, what chain is that? 2 objectives. There's many actors. This is what they answered. The matrix, point 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is that the actor has an impact on the existence of the other. 3, the mission. 2, projects. 1, process. If they answered that the university in that region do not have a strong impact on 3 and 4, or on 2, 3, and 4, but on 0, 0, 1, it doesn't matter what analysis you do, it will give you a low force of the actor. That's because they answered specifically there. It doesn't mean that university is not important, but in those projects, in those needs, they're saying that. That's also surprising because there are people there from the universities. But this is saying a lot. We're in a very industrial region. You have farming, engineering, projects, fisheries, cattle, but they're saying that your influence is not strong today and will not be very strong in the future. It's quite terrible. The estimate is very simple. It's force relationship, and it has to do a lot with this matrix of rows and columns. So you take a number. If you have under 1, your force relationship is not very high. If you have over 1, it's much stronger for the future. It's very simple. We explain this in some papers, and it's also in the original books. Thank you. In general, they asked me yesterday as well. The TELFIS is based on high-profile experts, so the size of the sample does not apply because we didn't have how to do it. I mean, a survey in a country about the vote intention, there has to be a significance, etc. So this is with high-level profiles. In general, you have to send at least 100 invitations, and we know that only 30% answers back to show statistical normality. But the one we're doing here, we finished the first round yesterday. Now we are in the second round. Right now we're 277. But if you do something at country level, you should consider first having a high profile, second to have a balance, university, that is to have answers from academia, from businesses, from the government, those that are in public policy in your sector, and also scientific and technical sector and institute, a center. If you have those good practices, if you can have interest in processes, we can rely on the results. So one of the methods, one of the requirements of the Delphi method is to have a monitoring group. That is a group of people that know about the methodology and about the subject matter. And there you choose the profile of the experts. The profile of the expert should consider education and this and that. But we have realized that some people do not have a major or a master's degree or a PhD, but they have 20 years of experience assembling cars. So that experience is counted there, even if there's no graduate degree. So the expert competency coefficient was created. This K coefficient, the K coefficient, is KC plus K, the coefficient of knowledge and argumentation. For the knowledge coefficient, we need at least 5 inputs. Those 5 inputs are in the surveys we presented at the beginning. And for the argumentation coefficient, we asked the questions here. let's show a first round. This has been tested by schools of psychology and sociology, etc. We have already used it and it worked very well. If we have that K, it's a mean of 1 plus 1. If you have 1.8, that is, you are an expert. At university level or at company level, there are individuals that have been in the business for 20 or 30 years. We've just applied it here. For the knowledge coefficient, there you have the authors. Let's move a little further down. 0.1, 0.3, 0.7, that gives you a number. The respondents don't know about it, but they move down to the argumentation coefficient and we ask them if they've have any studies in the area with foreign authors, or is it intuition or what? And each of those circles has a number. They add up to 1. So K maximum 1, KC maximum 1. I mean 0.7, for instance. There we are loading the scores. There I enter other questions as well, because this generates a deficit of something. So what new questions can we load to it? For instance, have you written a paper in this area? That's one question. Or have you written a chapter in a book? No. Do you have a brand? Do you have a trademark registered? Any IP? Have you collaborated in innovations at a business level? Because if everything is no and all the other questions are answered no, well, this is not an expert in an area, right? So what with experience and education, knowledge and publications, if everything is no, perhaps I've made a wrong choice of the experts. So with all this, we make some corrections to the K and we know who is above 0.7, 0.8. And then let me tell you something. Yesterday, we closed the statistics several times, but one was with 190. And yesterday at 11:15, where we had 267, and only one topic had changed. I could have closed the Delphi with the 290, but only one changed positions. All the rest was the same, and we discovered that after 30 individuals, if I selected them correctly, that creates a common core of topics and technologies that doesn't change. Even if we have 2,000, it doesn't change. Of course, one comes in and another one comes out, but there's a common core. Actually, we did it yesterday. So we ran it with the 267 and all except one gave us the same result. There's no perfection here, as I was saying yesterday to my colleague. This is a mix between quality and quantity. It's not just quantitative. It's not purely qualitative either. So in the mix of both, the perfection of the methods is never 100%. There's always something to do different or better, a new technique. We've already used the curves, the cycles. There are other things we do additionally. It's not that just magically you have these resources and capabilities, and therefore you will be more productive, more competitive, and this is also associated to the quality of life and the Gini coefficient. That would be great. Thanks for the question.
Well, if there are no further questions, we want to say thank you for your attention. You know that you have our contacts in case you want to ask any other questions and contact us related to these topics. We will ask for your email addresses so that we can send you the presentations. I always say that we are not in hiding. You have our numbers, so you can contact us. I'm faster on WhatsApp than on email, but you can contact me via email as well. This is the email address of our university, UPB University, and that's my cell phone number and my Gmail email address. It's important to have an extra Gmail address, and we will give you our other phone numbers. We will be willing to respond to any of your questions, and we will be looking at our phones and on the lookout for your messages. We are also on LinkedIn. I also have a YouTube channel, and we always post some of our methodologies and our findings on our YouTube channel as well. That's our Gmail address. And that is our phone number with the code for Colombia, which is +57. Where are you joining us from? Monterrey, Cotecmar. We have amazing friends there. They take our PhD and master's classes in Medellin. We also work with them on different projects. Where else are you from? Argentina. What university? Okay. Very good. We have our colleagues from Mexico here. Where are you from? Also from Monterrey. Where else? Francisco de Paula, Santander. Oh, we have amazing friends there as well in agro industries. Where are you from? Oh, nice, from Ecuador. Okay, Latina University over here. Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us for this panel. Oh, that's my YouTube channel, actually. So you can go ahead and check us out. We have a lot of material on perspectives and SNS curves.